Well, since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the level of Christian nationalist rhetoric in our state and federal government has skyrocketed. But what does that mean for our pluralistic society? Clayton Baumgarth has been working on a multi-part project about Christian nationalism in Indiana and what its presence means for all Hoosiers. He has this report.
On September 10th, 2025, a political assassination sent a shockwave through the American right.
On that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal. He's a martyr now for American freedom.
When Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk was murdered, his memorial service wasn't just a funeral. It was a public declaration of a religious war.
The day that Charlie died, the angels wept, but those tears have been turned into fire in our hearts. And that fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend or understand.
The language of martyrdom, of spiritual battle, points directly to a political ideology bubbling up from state houses to the national stage: Christian nationalism. This is the belief that the United States and its laws and government should reflect a specific expression of Christianity. This past Indiana legislative session, State Representative Joanna King introduced House Resolution 53, asking lawmakers to humbly submit to the Lord Jesus Christ.
It seems that as each election cycle goes by, more and more Republican primaries are producing legislators who feel that the idea of separation of church and state is exaggerated, and that in fact, legislators have a responsibility to use the power of government to reinforce biblical principles.
The resolution was not adopted, but more than 20% of House members co-signed it. Also keeping the movement at the forefront is Indiana's second-in-command, Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith, a proud Christian nationalist.
We're actually just saying we submit to the highest of all authority when we're governing. Doesn't mean we have to worship Jesus. Doesn't mean that we have to go to church on Sundays. It just means recognize his authority as being the ultimate authority, and let's make sure our laws are in line with the constitutional authority, which is then in line with God's authority.
He says that the nation should base its morals on Christian values.
I don't want the collective determining moral truth. I don't want Micah Beckwith determining moral truth. I don't want Donald Trump determining it. I don't want Nancy Pelosi determining it. I don't think any one of us are good enough to determine what truly is good and right.
The core of this movement is called dominion theology, the belief that Christians are mandated to exercise power over all aspects of society. It even has a mobilization strategy called the Seven Mountain Mandate, which targets 7 spheres, including government, education, and media, to be brought under Christian control.
Actually taking back everything in the world that has been robbed from human beings, robbed by sin, robbed by Satan, the devil, and so on.
Indiana has a history with the intersection of religion and politics. In 2015, then Governor Mike Pence signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, or RFRA, into law. It caused national headlines for how it would effectively allow businesses to discriminate against the LGBTQ+ community.
Michael Pence, the governor, a deep Christian, a man who again and again said that his Christian faith came first. Not his faith in the Constitution, not his faith in American values, not his faith in democracy, but his faith in his God, his God.
Madison says that not only is Christian nationalism controversial for anyone who isn't Christian, the backlash to RFRA showed it's bad for business.
You want to attract the best and the brightest people to Indiana to work at Eli Lilly Company? They're not going to come to a state that has this kind of law on the books. Young people just aren't going to put up with this.
Many faith leaders are speaking out. Pastor David Green says he's reminded of his upbringing in Cave City, Kentucky, near the KKK.
When I hear these things coming out of our state house, for me it's alarming because it almost takes me back to that. The only thing is we swap robes for nice suits.
His and many other faith leaders' fear is that this movement is distorting the true ideals of Christianity.
We have to be careful that we don't take the flag and just wrap it around the cross and create a lot of confusion between what is true religion and quote-unquote Christianity looks like.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Clayton Baumgarth.
Now we're joined now by Bob Zaltzberg, the special projects editor at WTIU, who worked with Clayton on this series. Clayton's a little busy. He's got a 1-day-year-old baby.
Right. I'm happy to be
So
pinch hitting for him,
thanks
Joe.
for being here, Bob.
Thanks for having me
What was
here.
behind the decision to do a project on Christian nationalism?
So since Micah Beckwith was elected to be lieutenant governor, I mean, he says he's a Christian nationalist. In the eventual failure of House Resolution 53 earlier this year, some of the newsroom staff members led by Clayton proposed a longer form piece on Christian nationalism. In Indiana, questions we wanted to answer involved defining Christian nationalism, seeing how present it was in Indiana, and what are the implications. The Poynter Institute, which supports meaningful journalism, provided some funding, and the result is this 4-part web and podcast series.
So, Bob, what are some of your big takeaways after looking at this?
Well, I have to channel Clayton here. I think the biggest takeaway was the label Christian nationalist is its own little controversy. People across the board have a different idea of what that means. For some, like Beckwith, they'll say, well, I love being Christian and I love my country, so sure, I'm a Christian nationalist. But scholars like Andrew Whitehead at IU Indianapolis offer a much more pointed definition.
It is the desire to see a very particular expression of Christianity privileged in the public sphere and fused with American civic life. And it wants to see the government at all levels vigorously defend this particular expression of Christianity as central to national identity and social belonging.
The label being thrown about is kind of on a spectrum. While Beckwith's view seems tame, Whitehead's definition scares some people, including some Christians. We talked to one pastor in Ellettsville who is somewhere in the middle. For example, though he agrees with the idea that the country should have a more Christian moral center, he favors a non-governmental path to get there.
I'd be happy to see everybody converted and become a Christian, but I don't think that can happen by using the state to do that, or the government, but it's by preaching the gospel and changing people's hearts.
So how does Indiana compare to other states as far as Christian nationalism?
There are a lot of similarities. According to Whitehead, about 10 to 12% of Americans strongly embrace the idea that America should elevate this expression of Christianity, and another 20 to 25% are at least sympathetic to it. So in Indiana, about 33% of Hoosiers either embrace that idea or are sympathetic to it. That 1/3 supportive view is right on track with the national numbers, but it's below many of the southern states.
Thanks, Bob, so much for coming in to talk about this. For a deeper dive into Christian nationalism, check out Red, White, and Righteous, a new investigative project from our newsroom. It's at ipm.org/righteous or wherever you get your podcasts.